Then the sixth angel blew his trumpet, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar before God, saying to the sixth angel who had the trumpet, "Release the four angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates." So the four angels who had been prepared for the hour, the day, the month, and the year were released to kill a third of mankind. The number of mounted troops was twice 10,000 times 10,000. I heard their number, and this is how I saw the horses in my vision. And those who rode them, they wore breastplates the color of fire and of sapphire and of sulfur, and the heads of horses were like lions' heads, and fire and smoke and sulfur came out of their mouths. By these three plagues a third of mankind was killed by the fire and smoke and sulfur coming out of their mouths. For the power of the horses is in their mouth and in their tails, for their tails are like serpents with heads, and by means of them they wound. The rest of mankind who were not killed by these plagues did not repent of the works of their hands, nor give up worshipping demons and idols of gold and silver and bronze and stone and wood, which cannot see or hear or walk, nor did they repent of their murders or their sorceries or their sexual immorality or their thefts. So the sixth trumpet, the sixth angel to blow his trumpet. At the call of this trumpet, it talks about four angels being unchained from the great river Euphrates. I think it's important for us to know, though the text calls them angels, the only time in the Bible that it refers to angels ever being chained is only when they are evil angels, when they are not good angels. All times when angels are chained down, they're typically chained for a reason, not because they're good. What we can see here from the analogy of these is it uses an army, and he gives us a number which essentially equates to 1,000,000. Is how he sees this army being led out into war. And what these angels and what this trumpet is bringing on, in the same way that the first trumpet was demonically affecting people to remove joy, these angels are demonically affecting people in war, bringing them to the extent of becoming monsters themselves. Because the horsemen that are described here, if you look at each one of the descriptions, in essence, what John is describing here is he's describing perfect war machines, perfect creatures of war that soul's target is to kill and destroy in battle. So, in the same way that the first demonic creatures were meant to remove joy so that people would seek after death, when war strikes, this one turns people into monsters so that they will seek to kill more and to kill men, which is stuff that we clearly can see throughout history in our lives, is that when wartime happens, men become monsters. So, and the last thing we see out of this, though, that this is only this is the second woe. But the last thing that we see out of this is that though so far all of these judgments have happened on the earth, John ultimately tells us that these men will still not repent. That though the world is against them, though the demons are against them, they will ultimately still not repent and will not turn away from their evil that they still practice. And then the next section here is technically still part of the sixth trumpet, and sort of what happened in the scrolls, we see the same thing happening here in the trumpets. And I don't know if y'all can remember, but during the sixth seal, we had a section that showed the unrepentance of the wicked, and then we had a extended section that then showed the righteous aspect of it, of the righteous. And we see the same thing happening here in the sixth trumpet as it happened in the sixth seal. Can you change slides for me? Then I saw another mighty angel coming down from heaven, wrapped in a cloud with a rainbow over his head, and his face was like the sun, and his legs like pillars of fire. He had a little scroll open in his hand, and he set his right foot on the sea, and his left foot on the land, and called out with a loud voice like a lion roaring. When he called out, the 7 thunders sounded. And when the 7 thunders had sounded, I was about to write, but I heard a voice from heaven saying, "Seal up what the 7 thunders have said, and do not write it down." And the angel whom I saw standing on the sea and on the land raised his right hand to heaven, and swore by him who lives forever and ever, who created heaven and what is in it, the earth and what is in it, and the sea and what is in it, that there would be no more delay, but that in the days of the trumpet call to be sounded by the 7th angel, the mystery of God would be fulfilled, just as he announced to his servants, the prophets. Then the voice that I had heard from heaven spoke to me again, saying, "Go, take the scroll that is opened in the hand of the angel, who is standing on the sea and on the land." So I went to the angel and told him to give me the little scroll, and he said to me, "Take and eat it. It will make your stomach bitter, but in your mouth it will be sweet as honey." And I took the little scroll from the hand of the angel and ate it. It was sweet as honey in my mouth, but when I had eaten it, my stomach was made bitter. And I was told, "You must again prophesy about many peoples and nations and languages and kings." So this section, we see the other side of it. We see another great angel. And what's interesting is as we look at the symbolisms, there's a lot of Old Testament symbolisms surrounding this angel. So we have the cloud, the cloud represents God's wrath. But we also have the rainbow, which the rainbow in the Bible is a representative of God's covenant with us. It's a symbol of God's covenant that's over this angel's head. His face is like the sun, showing his holiness. His legs are like pillars of fire, showing the strength of this angel. And he had a little scroll open in his hand, and he set his right foot on the sea and his left foot on the land, and showing the width of this angel, that he covers both land and sea, that he is all over. The angel then proclaims, like a lion roaring, about the 7 thunders. But it states that John was told that he cannot write, or to seal up the 7 thunders and do not write it down. As I'm studying this text, it reminds me that even when it comes to us trying to interpret the events of the world and what's going on and why things are happening the way they are, we fully can't know everything God knows. Because even here, there's 7 more things that we don't know. And so that we need to be careful sometimes when we're trying to declare what events are and why they happen, because we don't have the full picture like God does. That there are things that we are not permitted to know, that only God knows. And we see this even happening here, is that there were things that John was not allowed to share. So that means that there are aspects to this life and this world that we don't know, that are happening and are true, but we are just not permitted to know it. And so that should give us a little bit of warning when we try to take it upon ourselves to think that we know everything that is and that will happen, because only God knows everything that will, is, and has happened. But can you change the slide? There's 2 for this one. But we see that this angel comes, and the purpose of this angel was come to swear by God in heaven that the judgment and the second coming of the Lord will be the seventh trumpet. He says, but that in the days of the trumpet call to be sounded by the seventh angel, the mystery of God would be fulfilled, just as he announced to his servants, the prophets. So this angel is proclaiming that by the time of the seventh trumpet sounding, Christ will return. Then we get this one weird section where John is then commanded to eat a scroll. And the scroll here, as we pull from the Old Testament analogies like this, Ezekiel was also commanded to eat a scroll. And the scroll represented the law. It represented the Old Testament. Here we have John. John is now commanded to eat a scroll. And this scroll represents the gospel, which is why he is then commanded that he was to proclaim it. He has proclaimed the scroll that he ate. He is now supposed to proclaim the gospel. And we see that the scroll, when he eats it, is sweet to receive, but it's bitter. It's bitter when he suffers it. Same way with the gospel. The gospel is sweet to receive, the hope that we're given. But what follows the actual practicing of the gospel and the carrying out of the gospel can be bitter and painful and hard. But we are called to suffer it anyway for the sake of the gospel. And this ultimately shows that those that receive, this ultimately shows that those who receive the gospel message will also have to bear their cross, like Christ commanded.